Dan Shaughnessy, columnist of the Boston Globe, has penned a piece called "Forget the Titans. They have no chance versus the Patriots." And I would normally say Dan is just doing his shock jock routine, except I don't think anybody disagrees. Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe joins us now. Dan, good morning.
Hey, DA, how you doing?
I'm good. Tell me, do you think at any moment during this game you might go, wow, the Titans are better than I thought?
No. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I like competitive games. That's why we're all in it in the first place, for that good action. And it just saddens me that there's no competition in the AFC this year. I mean, Pittsburgh, we'll be fired up a week from now. If, everybody holds serve, that'll be a big deal having the Steelers come in here, especially in the wake of what happened in December and all their history. But this Titan thing, and again, the Patriots they earned this, but they're fortunate sons of their horrible division, and they get every year the first round bye, second round home game, and they earn that. I understand, but it just makes for they've had some dreadful divisional games. I mean, you can go back to last year with Houston, a couple of years ago with the Colts. There's just been some non-competitive. When you get to the round of 8, generally you're playing a good team, and the Titans were outscored this year. How good can they be?
The Patriots rarely get a good game in this divisional round. You've noted this in your piece, and by virtue of playing in a crappy division for nearly 20 years, this has helped. The AFC also has never been as deep as the NFC consistently. At least it hasn't been so in a while. And from a divisional round standpoint, they have faced some really bad tomato cans. How much of the Patriots' success, their dynasty, do you attribute to simply good timing and good fortune?
Well, they've had a lot of that, and you can go back to the Tuck rule and all that stuff, and of course, they would tell you the flip side of that, the Tyree catch and some of the miracles that worked against them. All of their Super Bowls, CA, have been 6 points or less. They've had 6 great Super Bowls with this group, and it never, 7. So it's 5-2, and all of them, just knockout kind of games. But getting there has not been. There haven't been a lot of great dramatic moments there, and they've had some fortune. But I mean, you can't look at 17 years and say, hey, they were lucky. I mean, they're good. They're better than everybody. Their coach is better than everybody. Their quarterback's better than everybody, and that's why they end up in that situation all the time. But some of the good fortune comes up when Pete Carroll basically wins the Super Bowl and says, I don't think so. I think I'll try a slant pass from the one in traffic here to finish the game. And last year when it's 28-3 and the Atlanta Falcons just completely turtle, stop playing, play back on their heels. Can you imagine allowing 2 two-point conversions with no resistance? I mean, it was just as if there was only one team in the field. That's the kind of thing. And New England does that, and part of that's owed to their own superiority and their own being smarter than you and scaring you, and everybody's afraid of them.
Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe, our guest this morning here on CBS Sports Radio. Had Jesse James' touchdown catch in Pittsburgh not been overturned, and had the Steelers been the 1 and the Patriots the 2, the Patriots would be facing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week with a great defense, then going on the road to Heinz Field. Do you think that the Patriots' road to the Super Bowl would have been toppled? How different do you think that their road to the Super Bowl is because of that overturn?
Well, I think they had to roll Jacksonville regardless. But, yeah, the game in Pittsburgh, the AFC Championship being in New England rather than Pittsburgh or vice versa, that can be a deal breaker. Now, New England, during this run, they've won 2 AFC Championships in Pittsburgh. I mean, they've only won 3 road playoff games in the 17 years. 2 of them are AFC champs in Pittsburgh. So we know, and, I think Brady's 8 or 9-2 against Pittsburgh. So they got their number. Same time, it looks like the talent's pretty even, if not tilted a little bit toward Pittsburgh. And you would think over, 60 minutes times 2, at some point the Steelers would prevail. And don't forget, it wasn't just a matter of that touchdown being overturned in Pittsburgh. They had the ball inside the 10 and, time and plays, and they didn't even get a field goal out of it. They just went home. So that's the kind of thing that happens when you play the Patriots. You lose your mind.
So when it comes to this internal strife in this story, do you feel like this offseason there's going to be some type of major movement, some type of major piece of the puzzle that shifts this offseason?
Well, everybody's been lying their ass off since that story came out, and I understand that. That's the motivation. There's, I don't know why they didn't try to knock more of it down before the story came out, which would have been kind of an easier, more effective way to get that done, I suppose. But the reason is because most of it's true. And I'm sure there's some details in there or not. But in my view, Kraft did force the issue to move Garoppolo. Belichick didn't want to do it. Belichick's not happy about that. The piece had Bill's fingerprints all over it because it made Brady look petty and bad, and it made Bill. It sort of excused his weird trade of Garoppolo for a bag of balls. So that, but then you had the owner a day later tell Peter King, well, no, that stuff never happened, and it was all Bill. So I think that kind of finger pointing is not healthy for an organization. But these guys, they've worked together a long time, and it's not going to affect them, I don't think, in the playoff run this year. The one thing, DA, you could make a case, Belichick, he could pull the Parcells and say, you know what, I've had enough. I don't think that's going to happen. But we know Kraft's going to be here next year. We know Brady's going to be here next year. The only possible fallout from this, other than hard feelings, would be if Bill somehow wanted to get himself traded to another market.
In my mind, Bill might want to leave out of resentment towards this, but I kind of side with you. I doubt that it happens. But would it be more possible that he just ups and retires, quote unquote, this offseason and then waits a year and maybe sees if he can get a front office job somewhere else after that?
It just doesn't seem like him. I mean, you were up here enough, and it's really in his blood. He's 65, and he really relishes this. He enjoys all the parts of it, the stupid summer camps and just the whole year, and I think he really is enjoying the genius tag that follows him around now, and not embarrassing other people, but just the gap between himself and all the other teams is just enormous now. With there used to be, I don't know, a couple guys could throw a scare into him, even Rex to a degree, Mangini to a degree, but everybody just rolls over now, and it's I think he's probably enjoying his lofty perch.
Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe columnist, joining us here on the show. So that story was interesting, as you mentioned, because it does paint Tom Brady as a very petty individual or very sensitive or maybe entitled. Do you think there's a lot of truth there, that might be how Brady is now kind of developed with all the success?
Well, sorry about the barking dogs back there. I think that Brady is, he's a little different than he was when you were working and living up here, where I think he really, it's like his body's been abducted by aliens or something. He's kind of got these mantras going on now, and a lot of it's the TB12 method and Guerrero and that kind of thing. But I still think, I think his performance has waned a little bit, but for 40 years old, he's probably going to be the MVP. I think he's not happy that he lost his guru on the sideline, that kind of thing. But with what he's up against, he's certainly got plenty to get done this weekend. It's not a lock that they're going to win the AFC Championship. It's not a lock they're going to win the Super Bowl. And that's where I think sort of the rubber meets the road with what's left for Brady at the age of 40.
Dan Shaughnessy, Boston Globe. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan_Shaughnessy. Check out his latest piece at the Globe about this matchup against the Titans, quote unquote, forget the Titans. Dan, it's always good to catch up, man. Thanks so much.
Take care, DA.
Okay, you too.